Hello, my friends. It's Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success Seminars. And well, here we are 1 week before Christmas Day. And if I were a traditional kind of a gal, I'd probably be sharing some insights on the joy of the season and love and goodwill for all. But instead, today I was doing a search in my Word docs for the name Temple Judea, which is the synagogue I grew up in here outside of Chicago. And I didn't find what I was looking for, but I found a story that I wrote about 10 years ago. And I laughed out loud so hard reading it that I thought I have got to share this with y'all. So it has nothing to do with, well, anything, except it did happen around Hanukkah time, but it is just too funny and completely true. So here is the story that I wrote, and I'm going to share with you, and it is called You're a Young Lady Now. So here we go. Every one of my women friends recalls the day when all the 10-year-old boys were herded off to points unknown, while the 10-year-old girls were gathered together to be informed by the school nurse, the bravest teacher, or an emotionless female clergy that they would soon become young ladies. The scene of this rite of passage in my young pubescent life was the basement of our synagogue. We waited with anxious anticipation for our teacher to emerge as the water noisily swished through the fat gray pipes overhead. And we sang along to Neil Sedaka as he informed us via my orange transistor radio that breaking up is hard to do. We had no idea why we were there, but three rumors pervaded. They were: one, we had committed some kind of group transgression and we were about to be reprimanded, but none of us could think of what it might have been. Two, the Hanukkah play this year was going to be all boys, since there were no girl Maccabees or even one woman in the entire Hanukkah story for that matter. Or three, one of our classmates' bubbies had died. Mrs. Golden interrupted our speculation when she brusquely walked in and self-consciously mumbled something about having the privilege of being the one to tell us of an upcoming event of great importance in our lives. She then handed each one of us a little pink book with a picture of a demure-looking preteen on the front, dressed in a blue jumper, white ankle socks, and black Mary Janes. It was entitled, You're a Young Lady Now. As Mrs. Golden began to share everything she knew about birds, bees, and menstrual cycles, most of the innocents in my class shifted uncomfortably in their seats without lifting their downcast eyes. Others sat at attention, eager to absorb every detail they could about something called a period that had nothing to do with the end of a sentence and a napkin that was not used at the dinner table. And then there was the clique in the back of the room who listened smugly as they leaned back in their chairs, heads cocked, lips curled, and eyes rolling in that tell me something I don't know kind of a way. I really don't remember what category I fell into, although it was most likely category 3, but I didn't need to remember. Lester Cohn reminded me of something far more important that he remembered like it was yesterday. Now a prominent and very wealthy businessman, I ran into Lester at a fundraiser for the Clinton Foundation. Aren't you Debbie Halpern? He gasped as if he had bumped into Bill himself. I am, or I was for several decades. I kind of have a new name now, I replied. I'm Lester Cohn. We went to religious school together at Temple Judea. I recognized him. In fact, I think I had a crush on him. He had been very cute, although now he was very round, very bald, and decidedly not very cute. This is so amazing. I was just talking about you, he said with unbridled enthusiasm. Wow, it had been almost 50 years and he was still talking about me. I obviously had made quite an indelible impression on the young Mr. Cohn. You probably don't remember this, he gasped, but one day when we were 10 or 11, all the boys had to go to the community hall while the girls went into one of the basement classrooms for a secret meeting. We tried to squeeze information from Cantor Weinstein about what was going on downstairs, but he said it wasn't any of our business. After what seemed like an eternity, all the girls came back upstairs and they were clearly uncomfortable and nervously trying to hide what looked like a little pink book. We knew this was something juicy, and we used every trick we could think of to get at least one of the girls to show us her book, but we weren't getting anywhere. And the more desperate they were to hide the books, the more desperate we were to see them. Not one girl would even let us glance at the cover. That is, except for you. You obviously saw a market and offered to sell us your book for 25 cents. None of us had 25 cents, but you sensed our desperation and absolutely refused to go lower. So 5 of us each put in a nickel, which meant no candy bar on the way home from Hebrew school, and you handed over your book, replete with graphic pictures of the female anatomy. It was my first lesson in supply and demand, and I never forgot it. In fact, it's the story I've used for the last 30 years to begin my presentations around the world on sales and marketing. I told him that it felt good to know that I had made such a significant contribution to his considerable success as a speaker, trainer, and entrepreneur, and added that, in fact, I now did remember the incident quite clearly. But if the truth be known, my most vivid memory was not selling them my book, but what came after the sale. As I was staring out the window of the back seat of my carpool friend Nancy's mom's 1962 Chevy Bel Air, as she sped us home through the streets of Skokie, Illinois. I recall thinking that I didn't really care at all that I was the only 10-year-old girl without a pink book to take home and discuss what I had learned as instructed with my mom. I knew she'd have that napkin thing under control without any help from the book. But I cared very deeply that I had made a mistake and had acted so impulsively and hadn't held out for 50 cents. So I too learned something very valuable that day, just like Lester Cohn. And that's it for today. Have a great week. And hopefully next week, I'll have a message for you full of love and good cheer. Bye for now.